Welcome to Get Paid for Your Pad, the definitive show on Airbnb hosting, featuring the best advice on how to maximize profits from your Airbnb listing, as well as real-life experiences from Airbnb hosts all over the world. Welcome. We are your hosts, Josefa Kapadia and Jasper Rivers.
Get paid for your pad. 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 Get paid for your pad.
Hello everybody, welcome to another episode of Get Paid for Your Pad. Today I have two guests on the show. They are the co-founders of a really cool new app called TINE. That's TINE. So welcome to the show, Nedda Toofer and Vik Thairani.
Hey everyone.
Thanks a lot, Jasper.
How are you guys doing today?
Awesome. It's a sunny day already.
Yeah,
Are you
doing great.
Where are you guys located?
I'm in LA.
And I'm in San Francisco.
Okay, that's cool. So I'm in Vegas right now, so we're all kind of in the same area. But let's talk about Tiny Tags, because I've tried it, and I think it's a really cool concept that will be very useful to Airbnb hosts, and that's why I invited Nedda and Vik on the show. So Vik, maybe you can tell our listeners what is Tiny Tag and how can people use it.
Sure. So, thanks for having us on the show, Jasper. Tiny tags are a concept that we've been working on for a few years, and we kind of launched it a couple months ago. What they are little stickers you can stick on anything, and then you can use our app that's available for Android or iPhone. You can scan the sticker with our app, and then the app actually lets you add any sort of content you want to it. So you can add a video message, a photo message, or a picture message to the tag. And so now if someone else comes along and scans that tag, that message will automatically play. So let's say you're renting out a place on Airbnb and you have 5 remotes in front of your TV. Now, that's probably a very complicated setup for most Airbnb guests. And so Tiny Tag allows you to stick one of our little tags, a little sticker on the back of one of the remotes. And then all of a sudden you can record yourself explaining how the remotes work with the TV, how to get Netflix going, how to play a DVD. And now when your guest shows up, instead of having to, perhaps listen in to this complicated explanation during orientation or call you on the phone when they want to watch TV, instead they can just flip over the remote, scan it, and now all of a sudden a video of you pops up explaining exactly how the TV remotes work with the TV and the receiver and all that stuff.
Very cool, and this is exactly what I did. I put a tiny tag on the AC of the Airbnb where I'm staying at right now, and then I recorded a little video of me explaining how the AC works. And then I imagine that when a guest walks in and scans the tiny tag, a little video of me shows up explaining how it works. So instead of when you do a check-in, instead of explaining your guest and giving them a tour around the house, and it can take quite a lot of time to explain everything, like how does the washing machine work, how does the coffee machine work, the TV, the AC, and all this other stuff. So instead of spending a lot of time, giving a tour, you can just put these tiny tags up there, and then guests can just see for themselves whenever they want to use a certain appliance. They can watch a little video and see how it works. So I think it's a really cool concept. But outside of Airbnb, what do people use tiny tags for?
So there's actually dozens of examples of people using Tiny all over the place. It's great not just for instructions, but it's great for gift giving. So, for example, let's say you wanted to send someone a card saying, happy birthday, instead of just writing it in a card and sending it across, you can stick a tag in a card, record yourself singing happy birthday, and then mail that across. Mm-hmm. And when they get it, all of a sudden you have a singing card. So that's, a really cool and interesting way. People are using it for wedding invitation, thank you notes, things like that in that space. And then we have, people who are just in interesting relationships, leaving notes around, love notes for their significant other. So it's a really interesting way to, for the first time, instead of just messaging each other with video or audio, you can actually leave a video or audio message for someone in a specific place or attach it to a physical thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like we even have grandparents recording themselves reading books and giving those books as gifts to their grandkids.
Or even photo albums recording the story of your grandparents talking through the album, and you could record 15 minutes of audio and always have that story of your parents or your grandparents telling you, about their life story, for example.
Uh-huh. That's awesome, and I can just imagine that the sky is kind of the limit in terms of like how you can use these things, right?
Totally. We typically say it's like the new Post-it note, the futuristic Post-it note. We even had some people sending out thank you cards for their wedding invites and adding the video from their wedding on that thank you card. So it's like a personal message to that guest. They get to see that video.
Mm-hmm. And one thing I really like about the Tiny Tag is something that we talked about just before we started recording this episode. You can actually change the video or change the message, but keep the same Tiny Tag. And I know when I first talked to Nedda, she explained this to me, and it's kind of hard for me to visualize it. So, maybe Nedda, you can explain this in more detail of how exactly this would work.
Sure. So, for example, if you're hosting a guest at Airbnb, you could customize that introduction video each time a new guest comes about. That's one way. That's a great way. And you can continuously add to that same Tiny Tag. So if you go to a friend's birthday and you give them a card with a Tiny Tag in it, you could even upload pictures and videos post-party after even giving them the Tiny Tag with the card to that same tag. So in the app, you have a history of your tags, and you can constantly add more videos or audio messages or pictures to each tag.
Mm-hmm. So let's say, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, sorry. I was just going to add, the history feature that Nedda was talking about. Anytime you ever scan a Tiny Tag or you create a Tiny Tag, you have access to those tags remotely. So, for instance, in Nedda's example, if you put one as a welcome note for your guests, you can always just go back to that tag, remotely and just update that video. And now when the new guest shows up, they'd be able to watch it.
Right. So, for example, let's say that I have a guest coming into my apartment, and his name is John. I'll put the Tiny Tag on the front door or somewhere in the hallway, and I'll tell my guest, okay, when you arrive, just use the application to scan the Tiny Tag, and you'll see a message from me explaining some things about the house, right? Yeah. So John arrives, he scans the Tiny Tag with his smartphone, and then a video will pop up where I go like, hey John, welcome to the house. Make yourself feel comfortable, blah blah, the whole story. And then a few days later, Bob checks into my apartment. So before Bob checks in, I record a new video. I upload it. So now Bob scans the same Tiny Tag, but he will get a different video.
Exactly.
That's correct, yeah.
You can do all that remotely from the app.
That's really cool, and I think this is really helpful for people who have keyless entry systems or use lockbox, who don't personally check in their guests, because I think, one of the really important aspects of Airbnb hosting is the personal connection that you have with your guests, right?
Exactly.
That's the reason why a lot of people choose Airbnb in the first place. But if you do remote check-ins, you don't actually get to meet your guests, and by recording a personal video message for them, I think that's a good way to still add that personal touch to the guest experience.
Totally.
So I think that's a great way to use these tiny tags. So for the people who wanna try this out, how can they get a hold of these tiny tags?
So it's really easy actually. They just need to go to the Android store or the Apple iOS store and type in TINE, which is tiny, and our startup way of spelling it. And the first app that should show up is the Tiny app, and they just need to download it. And as soon as they download it, the first thing they'll be prompted with is to log in. And as soon as they log in, we ask them for their address and mail them the free tags. So it's only available in the U.S. at the moment, but we're actively working on making this a global product. So if you're outside the country and you're hosting on Airbnb as well, we are working very hard. And in the next few months, we'll have great news for those who want it outside the country as well.
Okay, that's great. And so it's completely free?
It's completely free today, yes. So the tags are free and the app is free. So our goal is really to make a tool that anyone can use in 100 different ways. And we had a lot of users actually using it as hosts in Airbnb situations, and they wrote into us. And when we heard about that, we got really excited, and then we started reaching out to some people who really know the community well, letting them know about the product.
So, I mean, obviously, this is very useful for Airbnb hosts. Are there any other specific demographics that you see or that are using the tags a lot?
So I think it's surprising. Every time we get notes and letters around who's using it, we're always surprised and just really excited. Recently we did a push with a bunch of high schools where instead of just signing the back of a high school yearbook, students were able to add tags and add video messages and audio messages, making those high school yearbook signatures just a lot more interactive. And that was a lot of fun and completely different demographic on the high school side. And then we have, completely different demographic of soldiers actually getting care packages and their families adding tiny tags to those care packages. And so when the soldiers get the care package, it's not just, something great from home, but it is a message in a bottle almost where their family is wishing them well. And one of the great parts about Tiny is when you scan a tag, the person who created the tag gets notified. And so the soldier's family actually knows, oh, okay, he got the tag.
Okay.
This is great.
So that's awesome. So if I do remote check-ins and some of my guest arrives at my apartment and scans the tag, then I'll get a notification on my iPhone, so I know that my guest has arrived at my apartment.
Exactly.
That's correct. Yeah.
Wow, that's really amazing. I think this in combination with a smart lock can really make the managing an Airbnb listing remotely so much easier.
Yeah, it definitely adds that personal touch. It's funny, I have a few friends who host on Airbnb, and I know that Nedda's hosted on Airbnb in the past, and the thing they always complain about, I think that's most frustrated about them, is when a guest gets confused or they haven't read the instructions all the way through, because often it's a big booklet, and they just need help with this one thing, like where does the trash go?
Right.
Or, how do I get, the dishwasher working, and where's the soap to wash with, or something like that. Mm-hmm. And she'll often, take like 6 or 8 text messages back and forth. Maybe you have to make a phone call. Maybe actually you have to send a neighbor across to help out.
Yep.
And, the idea of Tiny just kind of relieves them of, one of the biggest and probably one of the most difficult parts outside of actually getting guests to show up is to make sure they have good experiences, and being right there, walking someone through step by step just makes all the difference.
Yeah.
And it's much more personalized, so people feel more connected.
So Nedda, you are an actual Airbnb host?
I have hosted people at my apartment in San Francisco in the past. Yeah.
What was your experience? Did you like it?
Yeah, I think you need to really be on top of it. I had, I think, 3 guests in 1 month, and I had a great experience. But I do think, because you have to plan, right? You have to plan for the cleaning lady. Like, some people want specifics, like, that they ask for. So you always try to accommodate. I was trying to be very accommodating, but it was fun. It was fun having people over and meeting new people too.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Yeah.
But I definitely stay. Airbnb is definitely what I use when I'm traveling.
Uh-huh. Yeah, that's what I do as well. I'm actually staying at an Airbnb right now in Vegas, so that's really fun. Anyway, so yeah, for all the listeners out there, if you want to try Tiny Tag, just go to your smartphone and install the app, and I think it's pretty easy to use, pretty self-explanatory. You just put in your address, and the tiny tags will be sent over, and then you can play around with it and get creative. So, guys,
that's right.
Thank you so much for being on the show and explaining about tiny tags. Is there anything you want to add to for our listeners?
No, I mean, thank you, Jasper, for having us on. This was great, and we look forward to feedback. The product was really built on people trying it out, letting us know what they love and what they have issues with. So we're always listening. We have a support team helping out people as they have problems, and so we hope people try it out, give it a shot, and if they have feedback, we're looking forward to hearing it.
Great, and I'll add some information to the show notes where people can reach out to you guys if they have any questions, and where they can find out more information about Tiny Tag. So that will be posted at getpaidforyourpad.com/podcast. And of course, there's all these awesome resources about Airbnb hosting that you can find as well. And next Monday we'll have a new episode. So thank you for listening, and thanks Nedda and Vik for joining the show. And we'll see you next time.
Thank you, Jasper. Have a great day.
Hey, thanks a lot, Jasper.
Take care.
Get paid for your pad. 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 Get paid for your pad.